All right, welcome back to Out of the Box. Last show of 2007. This is Jonathan Clarke, joined live in studio with a band that will end 2007 and bring in 2008 at a small venue right up the street called Radio City Music Hall. And M.O.E. is here. Very nice. Al Schneer, Chuck Garvey, Jim Laughlin, Vinny Amico, the whole band. Welcome, guys, and thanks for taking time on this busy sort of holiday weekend to stop by the show tonight. So is this becoming a tradition, M.O.E. at Radio City Music Hall New Year's Eve?
Is the second time considered a tradition?
I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's darn near old-fashioned at this point.
Or do we have to do it the third time and then it's officially a tradition?
I think, if you ask me, you should do it next year and every year.
Until they kick us out, it's a tradition.
I'll be here with or without the rest of the band.
Well, the band's about to start their 16th year together and a new album coming out, too, in January called Sticks and Stones. I have that right, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I want to get to shortly. But talk about, for our listeners that do not know, you guys formed initially at the University of Buffalo in 1992 or something?
That could be true.
It was 90,
yeah. It was at the University of Buffalo. I don't know, were we still in school when we started? Yeah, we were still in school when we started. We have been gone from Buffalo for quite some time, but...
well, let me ask you, you know that other big band from Buffalo, the Goo Goo Dolls? Did you guys ever do gigs with them or anything?
No. I hung out with them while they were rehearsing one day. We had a rehearsal space that they used another one down the hall, so I just sat in the rehearsal space and did something illegal while they were rehearsing.
Thank you for that.
They're very nice guys. Yeah, I had to gauge that very quickly.
Yeah, gauge. I like the word gauge.
Gauge, exactly.
Well, talk about this like jam band phenomena, which has grown tremendously over the last few years, especially. There are magazines about jam bands. There are huge jam band festivals. There's an awards show called the Jam. Is it a totally different world now as compared to 1992 when you guys just first started getting together and playing out?
In 1992, there wasn't any such thing as a jam band.
Yeah.
There were bands that jammed, but nobody had...
Right, but it didn't have a cool name.
Nobody
like
had
jam
coined
band.
a phrase. Yeah, I mean, there was no scene. There were a few bands that, I didn't even really know of too many bands besides, like, the guys that, we're playing with in the Northeast kind of circuit. And then there were, like, the bands that sort of had come a little bit before us, like Blues Traveler and
Spin
Doctors and Fish.
Right.
They were making it big out of New York City, and we lived on in the second largest city in New York. So
look that up in your Funkin' Wagnalls.
Al, you've been quoted as saying when people ask you to describe M.O.E.'s music, you're sort of very forthright and honest about it. You say M.O.E.'s really like an amalgamation of the history of rock, channeled through the guys in the band, and coming out with those influences intact. Yet at the same time, you really have done a lot of what a lot of bands try to do but fail. You've created your own sound, with all those influences streaming through you.
Well, that's sort of the thing. I mean, we grew up listening to
WOUR.
That's
in Utica, yes.
That's right, the rock of Central New York. And we grew up listening to Zeppelin, The Who, The Stones, The Beatles, Hendrix, all of the stuff that's sort of a given, if you're, I don't know, if you're going to be playing rock music or listening to rock music, and then we all found the things that we liked from there, I know that Jim listened to a lot of metal, and
oh yeah. I grew up on Long Island, so that was a semi-requirement in the 80s.
Right.
A little Slayer,
Metallica, oh yeah.
Right, Vinny and I ended up listening to a lot of the Grateful Dead when we were in high school and in college, and Rob was a big fan of Steely Dan, and Chuck had a flat top, so we all went in sort of different ways, but we came back together when M.O.E. began, and we had a lot of common ground. Rob, Chuck, and I all grew up in the same hometown, listening to the same radio station, essentially, and
right.
And I think that had a lot to do with why we ended up where we did.
Do you even remember the question
that
at this
dumb
point?
Luck.
Talk about your you have a very sort of a affectionate name for your fans. So what is that?
They actually gave it to themselves. I think we didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't do it, but they call themselves morons.
I read that and I'm like, that is just perfect, man. Morons.
It is.
They adopted it themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, we in our wildest dreams we couldn't have come up with something that good.
Mo nuts.
No, we come up with a festival called Mow Down.
Right. And there was a snow down too or something?
There was. I'm not sure there is anymore.
I saw some pictures. It looked pretty cold.
It was it was really fun actually.
It was awesome.
It was. Yeah, it was great.
I
Playing
like
outside,
likes me the
17
skiing
degrees.
Yeah.
and I like whiskey. Skiing and whiskey.
It's Jonathan Clarke
Goes
live
good.
in the studio with Mo, who are playing Radio City tomorrow night. Those tickets are on sale now, but we'll have a shot for our listeners to win some tickets coming up tonight. Speaking of Mo's music, the last album came out about a year ago called The Conch. And talk about the track Tailspin.
Tailspin was, lyrically, was a song that I wrote, sort of just reflecting on, all of the media coverage sort of given to the war and, the state of things in our country at this time. And it's not so much a negative reflection on our government as it is on just the way the media sort of takes things and turns it into a show.
Right.
And next thing it's got it like a catchy name like
And a headline.
DEFCON
and a-
2005, and you have to be there. And turns out it's. That like Britney's pregnancy is more important than,
please. Scary.
Yeah, and there's so much focus on the negative stuff going on, and I don't know, it's just a reflection on all of that stuff, and a lot of it's been said and done before, but we've never really written political songs or topical songs necessarily. Most of the stuff I've written before is autobiographical, and just got to a point where I'm sort of getting tired about writing songs about me and my angst and emotions or whatever, my another love song in the key of G. I think our fans are getting tired of it as
Every
well.
rose has
and,
its thorn.
Yeah. So I figured why the heck not.
Jonathan Clarke live in the studio with Al, Chuck, Jim, Vinny, the whole band from Mo. They're playing Radio City Music Hall tomorrow night. Those tickets are on sale right now, but I have a free pair for the 25th caller right now at 888-872-1043. So good luck with that. It's
Rockin'
Jonathan
chairs.
Clarke live in the studio with Mo. We got a new album coming out, you guys, called Sticks and Stones. What do we need to know about it?
It
You need
rules.
to know that you're going to have to play it a lot.
Well, if I had it, I would.
It makes you want it that much more, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If I had it, I'd give it to you.
Okay.
I don't. I haven't even heard it.
But it comes
I heard
out
it's good.
3 weeks, January, second or third week of January, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
22nd.
Yeah, I believe the 22nd of January.
Sticks and Stones. What do we need to know about it?
This album is sort of a departure from what we've done with our last two albums. The last two albums were largely culled from live material and sort of the improvisational aspect of what we do. This album focuses more on the songwriting of Mo, and we were really focusing on making a classic rock album, not unlike the stuff that we were talking about earlier. And we went into actually an empty church in the Berkshires in
Oh, cool.
Massachusetts. We rented a church and went in with no material.
Was the organ still in the church?
There was no organ in the church.
It was turned into an apartment.
Yeah, it was a
house.
decommissioned church.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it had been converted into a home, but they left the main sanctuary space intact, basically, and we used that as our live room, and we wrote and recorded 10 songs over the course of about 3 weeks while we were there, and then from there, took it into various studios. We were here in the city for a while.
Right.
We recorded at the Magic Shop for a few weeks, and then went up to L.A. and Woodstock. But this is, it's about 45 minutes, 10 songs, all brand new. Two of the songs we've played